Thank you, Chance, for that introduction, and thank you, Jodie, for the invitation to speak this morning. My kids, Jonah and Danielle, will tell you that I annoy them by following them around with a camera. Not all the time, of course, but I do see a value in capturing those moments that may just seem ordinary to them, but that they will remember as contributing to the rich fabric of their lives. I hope that in this beautiful valley, we are creating a life that they will look back on as worthwhile. And no matter where they choose to travel or live in the world, they're going to feel the tug for the soft light, the long days, and the simplicity of easy friendship. And just in case they don't, they'll have photographs to remind them. When we evacuated Ojai just a few weeks ago, it was an easy choice to take a few photo albums from our own childhood in South Africa. These albums don't contain any works of art, the glue is peeling, and the pictures are of a poor quality by today's standard, but they do contain a legacy of family and proof that there were happy moments and parents who loved their children and grandparents who were present and Sunday afternoons just hanging out together. One of those photographs is of my sister and myself as very young children playing in an inflatable kiddie pool. Sitting next to us is a woman in her 60s. Her arms are outstretched, should either of us need help in the 3 inches of water. Her name was Robbie, and she was the much older friend of my mother who had fostered a special friendship with me. She took me swimming to the public swimming pool, and I loved spending time in her bachelor apartment because the bedroom and the kitchen were in the same room that overlooked the Atlantic Ocean, and I didn't know anybody else who lived like that. She taught me many things, including how to stretch my body and about a country called Switzerland that she would visit each year. She talked about healthy eating and the value of eating a baked potato every day. I didn't realize it at the time, but Robbie was also teaching my mom, specifically about yoga and vegetarianism. My parents, as a result, adopted this lifestyle for many years, which was pretty progressive in the 70s in South Africa. Although their own practices changed eventually, those teachings continue to define my own life. Robbie was not part of my life for very long, but I always remembered her and I would think of her sporadically. Some almost 40 years later, I was looking to depart from a life we'd been living in Cleveland, Ohio, for a new start that felt more authentic to me, and that was a better fit for the aspirations I had for raising Jonah and Danielle. In search of some breathing room, I rented a little cottage in Ojai for a month one summer, and I brought the kids out for a change of scenery and sunshine. And I enrolled them in a science and surfing camp that Oak Grove was offering. To say I was enthralled with the campus would be an understatement. I was captivated by the energy of the school, the beauty, the softness. I felt held in a way that I couldn't explain walking on this land. And I remember thinking that it would be an absolute dream for the kids to attend school here, and then thinking of the impossibility of it all. I won't bore you with the details of how we got from A to B, other than to say it was not without an enormous amount of compromise, upheaval, and sacrifice that I'm forever grateful for. Pragmatically, it made no sense, but the pull was so strong that we had to try it out. And by the time the next school year started, the kids were enrolled as Oak Grove students. They had been at the school for about 6 months when my mom came to visit from Cape Town. When we brought her up to the school, she pointed to a picture and said, "Oh, look, that's Krishnamurti." Confused, I asked her how she would possibly know who Krishnamurti was. I never heard her mention his name, and I had never read any of his works until I had heard of Oak Grove, and I considered myself better versed in these matters than my mom. She explained, of course, that Robbie had been a devout follower of Krishnamurti, visiting Switzerland each year and introducing her to yoga and vegetarianism. And until that moment, I'd never connected the dots. But in an instant, it all made sense. A circle closed across space and time. Of course, it made perfect sense that here I was living in Ojai, picking up my kids from a school that was founded by Krishnamurti. And that's the thing about the school. For some of us, there's a magic in being here. Being here is like stepping behind a veil, and it doesn't always make practical sense, but it feels perfectly right. I sometimes watch my kids walk down the path to their classrooms, past the pepper tree planted by Krishnamurti, and the flowers planted by Jake, and the lavender and the gorgeous mulberry tree, and I wonder how much they appreciate and notice, and whether they understand how unusual their school days are. But that doesn't really matter, because they are learning a way of living and engaging the world that feeds the soul in the ordinary moments, just by being present. So just as when I photograph them in those ordinary moments at home, my hope is that whatever career or lifestyle they choose, they'll carry with them an intuitive knowing of a way to live that makes sense. The practice of living in the present, and the usually ordinary moment, a slowing down, a deeper listening, a kinder word, a lighter step, an honoring of themselves and others, all in the very present moment. And that is why Joan and Danielle are Oak Grove students.